themselves. Warner looks like he's taking first strike. And they've only got a short total to go for. What do you think, Chris? Are they just going to try and go for it, get it all out of the way in 20 overs? Or
probably so, because of the net run rate. And I think for Bangladesh, on the other hand, the key is wickets. Quick wickets, consistent wickets, and early wickets.
So they're going to have to be very attacking and take a lot of risks.
Yep.
Well, that should make for
on both sides, I think.
Well, Australia don't really need to. They do need the run rate, given what went on with the New Zealand game. But, yeah, I mean, they will certainly not want to lose wickets, particularly if the rain comes back again.
So just for our listeners, reminding you that Australia's first game with New Zealand was drawn after rain, after Australia finished at 3 for 53, chasing around 300. So it wasn't looking too good for Australia there.
It wasn't. It's looking much better for them now. It's looking better for Australia than it is from a weather sort of perspective. And we're about to get started. Australia just need, if we go the full 50 overs, they only need 3.6 runs per over. So it's 1980s cricket, really, that we're talking about here. If only Dave Warner's kind of rocking a 1980s mustaka. But apart from that, it's all going to be big bats and flights to the boundary. And we're about to get set.
If anyone would have wanted it to keep raining, it probably would have been Bangladesh. They can get away from this, get 1 point, and then maybe beat New Zealand.
Well, New Zealand did look very impressive the other night, and you'd have to say they're probably the pick of the teams. Anyway, we're about to get set. And first ball to David Warner, and it's a play and a miss outside the off stump. Not a convincing play at that one. He just sort of was slow onto it. The ball kept low, stayed outside off.
That was close to the outside edge there, just beating the bat, and
he did poke at it.
Dying a little bit on its way through to Mushfiqur.
Yeah, so Mustafizur, obviously the bowler here, and he looked pretty good with that start. It's back in, and that's a straighter one. Warner's onto it, just blocks it back to the bowler, and good ball that, attacking the stumps, straight on the pad, stayed low.
Bangladesh will want to keep this pressure on as much as they can, get that run rate up to 4s and 5s, and get Australia wanting to attack more and build up that frustration.
Do you think Australia's going to wait and pick their bowlers to go after? Or?
It's not in their nature if the last 12 to 18 months is anything to go by, especially even in the long form of the game.
Yeah, that is very true. Rahman back in. And that's a straight one. Warner tucks that off his hips to the man at square leg. No run there. And we're yet to score, 3 balls in. That's quite a lot for Warner as far as it goes. But
as I said, it's not in their nature, and especially not Warner or Maxwell.
No. Well,
they're the two candidates you can sort of frustrate out.
Do you bring Maxwell in first drop?
Yeah, I think if it's, say, 50 for 1, bring him on to push things along a bit.
Rahman back in. Another straight one. That one a bit shorter, and it came up at Warner, but he tucked it down to the onside.
However,
no run there.
If it's 1 for none, maybe not Maxwell.
Yeah, that's...
Because that could be 2 for none.
That's very true, particularly if he leaves the one that goes straight onto the stumps. I don't know how often you want to be doing that in your career, though. So we're here at the Oval.
Not when it makes every news channel 6 o'clock, first thing on the news bulletin.
Yeah, well, all over the world, that's true. Now here we are at the Oval, coming back from the rain delay. Warner's facing. And Rahman's coming back in. And that's another straight one, and Warner tickles that off the pads. It's gone straight. It could go for 4 here. We'll see if there's a... No, they pull it back. So they should be able to run at least 3. Good fielding out there. Good teamwork with the relay throw.
The Australians and Warner
they have run the 4.
4 all run.
Well done there. They were very well run, very well fielded. The ball certainly slowed up there. Obviously, we've had quite a lot of rain here just during the innings break. So it was quite fortuitous, really, that we got the innings break that we did, or when we did, I should say.
And the rain came just at the right time, really.
Yeah. So Warner still on strike. Last ball of the over. Rahman coming back in, and I don't mean the noodles. And he's punched that one through point. And that again could go to the boundary, but probably won't. Another relay throw out there. And they've run the 3. So 7 off that opening over without too much hassle there. So
good over, but unlucky to concede those runs off the last couple of deliveries.
Yeah, and interesting to see the ball really not getting along to the boundary very well. So that could be a challenge for Australia, is having to run them unless they're going to start hitting them over the top.
Again, probably another thing that's not quite in Warner's nature.
Yeah. Well, look, he has certainly slimmed down since he first came onto the scene, and
which is really surprising, because he said he starts to spend a lot of time recently in front of his LG OLED TV. So you wonder, maybe he's got an ab cruncher or something installed at home that he's doing.
Or maybe he's got the OLED TV on a bike. And he just pedals around and has some sort of generator tied to the back of it with a digital antenna. Sounds like a massive traffic hazard. You should really be more careful there, David Warner. So Australia needs 176 more runs to win. Looks like we've got the captain, Mashrav Mortaza, the oldest man in the world, not just in ODI cricket, coming on. And
as you see the old arthritic approach the crease in and bowls it more or less on Warner's pads. They sneak through for a single. It's fumbled.
Yeah, there was pretty much always that was only 128 k's an hour, only, he says. But yeah, there was a lot of effort in there.
That's pretty good for an arthritic old man.
It's not bad at all.
It's brisk.
He did give it everything, and good on him for that. But
he's got double knee operations. He's a horrible arthritic old man, and he's to be bundling in at 128 k's an hour. You've had several operations on both knees. That's a decent pace.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, he's certainly one of those cricketers that cares about what he's doing.
I think it's more how he's managed to have this longevity and can pick up wickets even at this age and a little bit down on pace of what he used to be, is that he just hits the right lengths.
Yeah, he's a very smart bowler. And he's running in again from the top of his mark. And that's that one cut in a bit at Finch. That's the first ball Finch has faced. And he's just blocked that back down towards the bowler and for the dot.
And you're right, it absolutely is much Mash cares about the team and the younger guys when he gives his all.
Oh, it's a very good example for the others to follow, obviously. Is it Mashraf or Mashrafi?
Mashrafi Mortaza, yep.
Thank you very much. Well, there we go, people. And Mashrafi's back in. Another one, good length there, cuts back in at Finch, and Finch just plays that down again. 130 k's, so he's ramping up.
He's kept just a hint of that slingy action that he had in his younger days as well.
Yeah, no, he's certainly someone that has had a very...
Or the most famous and first time Bangladesh beat Australia in 2005. He had a big haul of wickets as he...
Oh, that's beaten. Mashrafi back in, and he's beaten. Finch outside the off stump. Do you think the Australian batsmen aren't really concentrating? They're just sort of...
Just missed the outside edge
he
there.
He did. That was a good ball. And Finch sort of didn't move his feet at all and just played a wafted stroke. It was really a nothing of a shot.
Yeah, you could be right. Perhaps a little blasé about this mini chase.
Yeah, anything under 200, I don't care. So
well, these days it seems to be anything under 300 is a walk in the park.
Mashrafi back in from the Moondog end, and Finch dabs that down to the gully and says no. And they've just left that one there. So just the one run off the over so far, one ball to go. And good start here from Mashrafi.
Certainly showing why he's the senior man in this side with this excellent start to this first over that he's bowled.
I think he's probably the senior man because he's the oldest man on the planet.
Yeah.
Makes him senior anywhere he goes. Anyway, he's coming in, final ball of the over. Straight one, on the pads. Finch just clips that across onto the onside. There's a whole bunch of throwing the ball around in the field, and that's the over, 1 run off it. Good start there from Bangladesh.
And the oldest man in cricket and in
on the planet
Earth.
On possibly other planets too. We haven't quite established that.
I don't know, there could be a Martian older than Mashfi, but it's unlikely.
Any of our alien listeners on Twitter, and I know you are, good evening. Good morning, good afternoon. Anyone out there that's older than Mashrafi, just love to hear from you. As we return now, getting ready for the third over to get underway. Australia looking cautious. Finch looking particularly uncommitted at this stage. He's got none off 5 balls. Rahman's back in. Oh, that one swung in, and he's had a bit of a half appeal there from Rahman. Umpires saying nothing about that. They've pinched a single there. It might be a leg bye, but I don't think I've seen any signal from the umpire, certainly up here from the box of dreams at this point.
Good delivery there, just nipping back a bit from Mustafizur Rahman, but not enough to convince the umpire to consider that for a few seconds. No,
I don't think that's the sort of thing that's going to convince an umpire of too much at all. He rolled his fingers over the ball to help get that sort of movement. It was very clever. So, yeah, no, that was a leg bye. So he's coming in now facing Finch, bowling to Finch. And that's a good length ball that cuts away outside the off stump to the right-hander. And Finch just lets that go. So he's 0 off 6 balls so far, Aaron Finch.
Both these bowlers hitting a good length early on. I mean, it may not result in too much, considering it's a low total, unless they can turn that good length into wickets, but certainly an economical and refreshing start from these guys. Considering they didn't have the best of days with the ball against England, just picking up the 2 wickets.
No, Rahman's back in, and Finch plays a cut shot, and that looks like it's going to go all the way for 4, and it will. So, yeah, he's got onto that early and played it beautifully under his nose, and he's just cut that straight through point. 4 runs to Aaron Finch to get off the mark. Australia are none for 13 off 2.3 overs.
That's a pretty spectacular way to get off the mark if it's racing to the boundary that quickly, and we've had all this rain, so it certainly shows that he's timed the wood off that.
Yeah, no, it's that was a good shot. I mean, I was there thinking the only way we're going to see boundaries is if they hit over the top, but obviously not the way. Rahman back in, straighter one, slightly moving across Finch, and he just plays a defensive shot off the back foot to the man at short extra cover, and no run. So a cautious start here from Australia, which is, as you say, Chris, goes against the grain of sort of what they've been doing in the last while. But sure, why not? Let's try something new. Live a little by doing less.
Live a little by not living as much.
Yeah, exactly. And Ruckman's back in. Oh, slower delivery, short of a length across Finch. Finch has had a wild swipe at that. Hit absolutely nothing. Came close to getting the edge. All the Bangladeshis are very enthused by that. Aaron Finch less so.
I think there was something we had going in the Indian series, and I think the Sri Lankan series as well, where we played the coin jingle every time Australia played a dot because they were earning money for playing sensibly.
It's not a bad Rahman in for the last ball of the over, and Finch has played that defensively off the back foot, and that's the end of that was 124 k's an hour. So again, what we're seeing is a fair amount of it's not necessarily the big pace. This is like when Enriques came on and was starting to cause a few problems. Bowling in good areas, and
just finding the right line and length. Yeah, really.
And causing a few problems for the batsmen there. Just not comfortable at this stage.
I'm seeing some of these mammoth Australian batting averages on the big screen.
On the Moondog big screen. Yeah, Moises Enriquez there averaging 8 in one-day cricket.
That's, brings it down a bit in that top order.
Yeah, it's. I was quite surprised myself when I saw that he was picked
second lowest to Zampa, who's batting at number 10.
Yeah, look, I was quite surprised to see Enriquez picked in the side after watching him in Sri Lanka last year. But there we have it. Mashraf coming back in to Warner. He gets a straight one, gets that on the hip and just tucks it out to a deepish square leg. The throw back in is pretty appalling, really. It only travels about 20 metres and rolls the rest of the way in. It
travels about 20 minutes. That's about the nautical length of rain delay.
Getting onto the nautical terms there. Mihatis. But so just
really do for Bangladesh. Just slow the game up, have a couple of 20-minute throws, and the game's over before Australia can score the runs.
Yeah, fielding. Mashraf back in, this time to Finch. And that's well down leg, and I think Finch got a bit of bat to that, and that's gone down to fine leg for 4 runs.
Suddenly did seem to race away, so more likely to be bat than anything else.
That's been given.
That's what the umpire signalled.
So Australia are none for 18 after 3.2 overs. Finch is on 8 off 11.
Which, as we've mentioned, is slow by their standards, but fast by anyone else's.
Well, yeah, for this game particularly. But, I mean, Finch has only had really the 2 shots, and then he hasn't looked too convincing otherwise, and he's managed to get up to 8 runs off 11 balls. So he's on strike now. Mashraf's at the top of his mark. Applying some Rapigel to his limbs, and he's starting to run in now. And that's a good length ball that cuts in on Finch, and Finch is forward to it and punches it back down towards the bowler, and there's no run.
Looks like he's might have forgotten the Ostilin tablets this morning. Got some stiffness in those old arthritic legs, the old man.
Well, as I say, the Rapigel, I don't know if you've ever come across it. They use it on horses. It's basically deep heat for horses. But, yeah, burns like hellfire, but soothes like an angel. So get onto your local vet. Mashraf back in, and that's a bit of a back of a length delivery, straightened up on Finch. Finch pushed it back. Mashraf decided not to bend over and field the ball, just let the guy behind him do the work. Batsman considered running for a single for about half a second. They thought, nah, let's just hang around.
Lazy cricket all around, I think.
Yeah, I think this has been, for Australia, quite lazy cricket.
But this is, I think, sort of your time of your stalemate in chess.
Mashraf back in. Again, just back of a length, cuts back in. Finch goes back to the ball and hits it onto square on the other side, and they manage to run 2.
Yeah, if it was a rugby game or something, the score would be 18-0. The other team's not really trying to score much to add to their lead, and the team that's losing's already given up, sort of thing. This is a sort of not that Bangladesh has given up here, but just a sort of dry,
it does have a sense of inevitability
where fieldsmen are getting lazy, batsmen are getting lazy. It's your real stalemate sort of period of the game.
Mashraf in for the last ball of the over, and again it's back of a length, cuts back in. They pinch a very cheeky single, taking advantage of that lazy fielding that we just spoke about. So that was a bit of initiative on Australia's part. So they're none for 21 off 4 overs. Into the game has got them another run. So if they do that a bit more often, they'll tick over that final total much earlier than otherwise you'd suspect.
And we'll be home to explore the rest of the London nightlife, as you might have mentioned earlier, before we were scheduled to.
Well, I'm the sort to get to bed quite early, so that I'll just make the most of the wonderful English tea on offer, and then have a bottle, and I'll be off. Now, Rahman back in. Oh, and he's got that one to go across, and it stayed very low for Aaron Finch there. Finch sort of hopping around and poking at it. It's gotten past him and into the keeper.
And making sure, of course, that you follow Kieran Beefy Blake's maxim and have a Devonshire instead of a Yorkshire tea?
Yes. Well, all that sort of stuff, as long as it's not too caffeinated, you know me, just not too much of anything. Finch still on strike here, yet to look completely convincing. Rahman coming back in off the top of his mark, and he's in, and that was across Finch, and he's kind of played it down and across to mid-wicket, and they've snuck another single. So this is better batting from Australia.
Yeah, he's had a couple of boundaries, but as you say, he has looked rather edgy, Finch, in comparison to Warner, who's had his moments of unease, but he's looked by and large a bit more comfortable at the crease.
And we haven't seen as much of Warner. You know, it took, I think Warner had faced an over and a half before Finch got a bat, and since then Finch has faced 17 balls and Warner's faced maybe 2. So Australia, none for 22 off 4.2 overs. Warner on 9 and Finch off on 12.
Do you take a punt here and mess around with the bowlers, have some short spells, just hope for a wicket sort of thing? If you're Mashrafi, you've got nothing really else to lose other than to change it up a bit.
Might be a bit early. Rahman back into Warner. And while Warner's had a go at this, it was a bit of a slow, long, short of a length, nothing ball, and he's had a swing at it. He's managed to get it behind him to third man. Oh, fine leg, sorry. And that's 4 runs. Not the most intentional stroke I've ever seen, but very David Warner-ish.
Rahman there with his hand in his head, just wondering how that managed to evade the stumps.
Yeah, that was a nice little inside edge, that one. Not the most convincing of shots. But Rahman back now, top of his mark.
This has been a fairly edgy start.
Very, very edgy. And I think it... Well, Rahman back in, sorry. And that's a really good ball. It's a foolish delivery. Warner dug it out and then took off halfway down the pitch. Realised when he looked up, that he was staring straight into Rahman's eyes, and he thought, well, I could get lost here forever, but I might as well get back in my crease because he's about to run me out.
I think he was calling yes to Mustafizur and not yes to Finch.
Yeah, I think Finchy saw what was going on and thought, you know, I'm not going to get involved. I'll let these two figure it out. And they did in the end. So Australia none for 26 after 4.4 overs. There's been some confident shots and there's been a lot of very edgy sort of shots. We'll see what Warner can do here. Rahman in. Oh, and he's beaten the edge there.
He doesn't do much, in fact.
He doesn't do much there. He sort of had a little poke at the ball, which was outside off, back of a length, and doesn't get near it. Again, maybe it's the change. It's coming off the pitch slowly. It's not really bouncing much. We haven't seen any bounces so far.
It's a bit of a spongy wicket after the break.
It certainly is. So again, those sort of slower deliveries, just line and length, are doing the job so far for Bangladesh. And you suspect if we got a wicket here, if they get a wicket here, it wouldn't be of any surprise whatsoever. Rahman back in. And yeah, back of a length, outside off. Warner just sort of dabs it down, beats the man at point, and they run 2 quite easily. Fairly ordinary fielding again there from the Bangladeshis. And that's the end of the 5th over. Australia none for 28. Warner on 15 off 13 and Finch on 12 off 17. Interestingly, Warner's would be, I believe, the 3rd highest top scorer for Bangladesh, and he's done it unconvincingly so far, really. He's had a couple of okay shots at it. It's more the aggressive singles that Australia's been taking that's kept them in this. Now they're doing a little bit of gardening in the middle as Chris has ducked out to the Moondog tent, and I'm about to be joined by none other than Beefy Blake. Oh no, sorry, Beefy's not here. I've got Jordan Canellis with me.
Hey, look, I know we look similar, but not that similar.
You're very similar. Very, very similar. Aaron Finch on strike. Mashraf Mateza about to come back in. And again, it's back of a length, and he's squared him up, but Finch has knocked that down the pitch and taken off straight away for a very cheeky single. If that was a primary school child, they'd be in the naughty corner straight away. How are you, Jordan?
I'm good. I'm interested to see in how many different creative ways the Aussies can get runs, because I reckon they'll just take runs at every situation, as they did there.
That was fairly impetuous, would you say?
Yeah. It was.
Mashraf, top of his mark. He's running back in now to Warner. That's a short ball, and it's a way too straight. And Warner's just swiveled on that and knocked it through to the square leg boundary for another 4. So Australia moved to none for 33 after 5.2. And, you know, then